big supporter there and coach of the UCD Ladies Boat Club, and Alex Ajezdanov, hailing from one of Serbia's prominent rowing clubs and now over helping and coaching at UCD Ladies Boat Club. And then Trinity.
On the Trinity side, the captain for Trinity for the Ladies Boat Club, it's Sophia Mulvihill, and it's the coaches there, a lot of experience. Sinead Dolan rowing with Commercial as well as rowing with Trinity, and Quiva Dempsey, recipient of many senior colours races and very experienced. So both Quiva and Sinead leading the Trinity Ladies Boat Club coaching setup, and they'll be looking forward to getting underway shortly to see how this race goes.
Now it's going to be the same format again, so Trinity on the north station, so right hand side as we'll be watching them heading down, and UCD on the left hand side on the south station. So again, with the coin toss, Trinity kept, they wanted to stay at the north station, so obviously they're seeing a bit of an advantage up there, but it's been 1-1 so far on either side of the river, so not sure if there's too much of an advantage on a day like today when conditions are pretty okay and consistent.
And just going back to the coin toss, it was one of Ireland's international rugby players, Ryan Baird, who was there for the coin toss on the 10th of March that took place. And Ryan, of course, is a student in Trinity as well as being a rugby player with Leinster and Ireland, so it was great to have him there, and part of the setup. He's on a sports scholarship in Trinity, as indeed a lot of the rowers would be as well. So they, as Niamh had said, all the Trinity crews going for the north stations in all 4 races. We didn't see the start of the first race, but we saw just how vital it was in the second race there, where Trinity got off cleanly, hugged the bank along the Liffey boardwalk and kept to that first tight corner, gaining a lot of ground over the UCD crew and allowed them to open up the lead. So it'll be interesting to see, will that be the tactics again for the crews as we get ready for the women's senior 8th race.
And as we saw the course a while ago, while the Cox is having to navigate, so it seemed to go every second bridge that they were having to go through an arch, that they were hugging either the right hand side arches or the left hand side. So I think it's pretty straightforward for the Coxes to follow, that the first one they're over the right hand side of the river, second one they're over the left hand side, and they just cycle back and forth between those bridges. So a little bit of a shower falling again, looks like. Just ahead of the start of this race. We'll be getting going shortly. It was due to start at 2 p.m, but all racing is starting a few minutes earlier, so we'll be getting going soon.
Yeah, I think once the umpire sees that the crews are up there and they're ready to go, he's letting them off a little bit early. Slightly different to the normal setup where we at regattas, where we stick exactly to the timetable. Here it's all about getting the crews off fairly and safely, so we might see a quick start again here for the Corcoran Cup. You mentioned one of the earlier trophies going missing, so if anyone is clearing out their attics, you might take a look and see if you have the old trophy that was there, the Donegal Cup. So that might be out there in the ether. And it has been replaced then with that new trophy for the Sally Moorhead trophy.
Yes, but it sounds beautiful. So it's formed from a wooden oar that's painted in the colours of the 2 clubs, the 2 ladies' boat clubs. So it looks amazing. So UCD will be celebrating when they get that trophy a little later on.
Yeah, the trophy takes place, the trophy presentation takes place tonight at an awards dinner between the 4 clubs. So there'll be a very formal trophy presentation later, and I'm sure all the crews will be celebrating into the early hours, but not too much, because they do have the university championships coming up. So the coaches, I'm sure, will be sounding the alarm for them to get to bed at a reasonable hour and be ready for training tomorrow morning. So slightly blustery conditions up at the start. You can see a little bit of the ripples there, but once the crews get underway, they'll be in full control here. So it is blustery because of the setup with the course being right in the city centre, but I'm sure both sets of crews well used to rowing here, although I'm sure Seville was a little bit warmer for the crews from UCD. Just waiting for them to come into view for us here. And we spoke about the course, and unusual to have the city centre course, 8 bridges for the crews to navigate and the coxes to navigate, so it does make for spectacular viewing, and I'm sure there's lots of tourists and locals in Dublin taking their eyes onto the river to see the 4 races taking place today. So we mentioned overall it's the crews from UCD Ladies Boat Club, 25 wins to Trinity 17, and over the last 2 years it has been UCD winning both in 2020 and in 2023, so they're going for 3 in a row here, and no races of course in 2020 and 2021, but before that the crews from Trinity had the run of 2 wins, so really interesting to see how this is going to play out here. Last year it wasn't a pretty easy win from UCD. They got off to a great start and held the lead right the way through and didn't really come under any pressure from the crews from Trinity, but different crews, a lot of them returning, but not the same lineup for the 2 crews that raced last year, so hopefully we're in for a nail biter.
I'm sure we will be. And I'm just reading here Sarah Daly, who is in the UCD boat that will be getting off shortly. She is the captain of UCD Ladies Boat Club this year, and she was saying that there was a panel of 17 talented rowers to pick for this crew, so each spot was hard earned, so I'm sure they had to go through some grueling training and tests to get their spot. So she's there along with Alison as well, and she just gave a nod as well to the novice crew. Of course, they won the Sally Moorhead Trophy a little earlier on, and she just mentioned how vital they are in the sport of rowing and how they've become such a close-knit group since their training camp in Seville, as you mentioned there, Richie. And she gave a shout out also to the coaches that have been involved with them, and no doubt she is very excited to get going, not only to represent as the captain, but she's also, you know, part of the crew here this year as well.
Just waiting, you can see crews in the distance there, so hopefully we will be underway. The senior crews might stick to the timetable. They'll have done their race start and their minus minutes to know what they should be doing, when, where they should be, what warm-up they should have completed as well. So hopefully we will see those guys coming down.
And then just a note from Sophia Mulvihill, who is the captain of Dublin University Ladies Boat Club, as we are calling them Trinity, today. So she just mentioned again that like today is such a highlight in the calendar. It marks kind of the end of the long winter training that they've done and the start of the 2024 racing season. So it's an exciting day, not only for the rowers in their 2 crews, the novice and the senior, the coxes, and of course the coaches, but everyone that's involved in the club. And she mentioned about the ambitious athletes that are in this race now, the Gannon Cup, who we will see getting going. I think we're starting to see footage of them coming down towards those stake boats here now. But again, it's just the work that's gone in, and I suppose the competition that's led to even getting a seat in these boats. Rowing has just grown so much over the last few years, and no different in universities. I think whether you've come from the junior rowing side or you're new to it and you take it up when you're in college, you know, it's competitive when you're at that level. And no doubt everybody that has a seat here today is very proud of all the work they've put in to get themselves into this position.
So both crews just coming up. We saw the Trinity crew, lovely blade work from them just coming up to get onto the start. The UCD crew right behind them there. The reserves races, you were talking, Niamh, about the selection process, how difficult it is to get selected. So there were reserves races that took place yesterday. And if you go to the colours races social media, and UCD and Trinity social media, we'll get the details there of how they went. They were raced up at Island Bridge. I think there was some 4s races and 8s races as well, so maybe we'll do our best to get some footage there. If anyone from home can contact us. David Breen already texting me here, even though he knows I'm busy commentating, but Dave is tuned in from home. David, you might check the reserves races and text me there. Good man.
You may be busy, but you're never too busy to check your messages, are you?
Well, when you get a message from David Breen, you drop everything, really. So boat crews now just coming up. You can see them making their way up towards the start. The crew from Trinity will be backing onto the stake boats there, and there is a bit of a difference here between the novice crews and the senior crews. We saw the novice crews fantastic racing in their first race, but we're going to see a real spectacle here. Very experienced rowers here. They know how to race, they know how to take this on, so we're going to see fantastic blade work, really competitive racing, and hopefully for us watching at home and tuned in, it is going to be a nail biter. As I said, I'm sure for the rowers, they want to get out to an early start and hang on to that lead. A clear water lead after 100 metres is what they're looking for, but hopefully we can get similar to the races back in 2019, 2015, where it was just half a length separating the two crews.
Yeah, like there's so much experience in these crews. Like I was mentioning, Sarah Daly there, the captain of UCD Ladies Boat Club, herself and Alison Daly there. It's their third time competing in the Colours series. You know, a lot of them, it's their second race. But then the two Coxes, so Maeve Hannon of Trinity and Libby Ryan of UCD, it's both their first year coxing the Colours series, the Corcoran Cup. But a few of the rowers as well, it's their first time, but lots of experience other than that. So they'll know the course well. They'll probably know their competitors well as well.
Absolutely,
So
and I'm sure Maeve and Libby, the two Coxes, are now questioning why they took up the sport, sitting probably in a wet puddle in Dublin city centre as the rain comes down on them, but that'll all be easily forgotten as soon as this race is underway. So
I think all rowers have that moment as well at the start of the race. Why am I here?
Why am I here?
There's always
Indoor
that
rowing.
question.
Indoor rowing sounds great. So we just see the crews. They'll be passing up any of their jackets or tops to make the boat as light as possible, so they're passing them onto the stake boats there. Trinity crew ready to go. The UCD crew, a little bit of adjustment to do to get onto their station and point the bow into the race position they want. They might have to detach here, but the senior crews really experienced. As we said, they would have competed in some of them in the race here last year, a lot of them then throughout the year at regatta, so this isn't their first time at the rodeo, just to make another Beyonce reference.
No cowboy hats this time though.
No cowboy hats, all seriousness for the crews here. The Trinity crews, you can see blades flat on the water, and as soon as they get under the starters orders, they'll square those over, and the Coxes will be telling the bow pair, the two that are at the top of the boat there, which way to touch it to move the boat left or right to make sure they have the ideal position. And what they don't want is that they're out of position and have to do a big adjustment before they get underway. So you can see the umpire, centre of the course. He's going to raise the flag shortly once he sees that they're both ready. So rain just coming down there, Niamh, but looks like a shower. Still those blue skies that we're hanging on to. Thankfully, we're both tucked up nicely here at the finish in the outside broadcast unit and underway. So the third race of the day, 1-1 so far between UCD and Trinity. We're underway now, and again we see the Trinity crew on the North Station really move over towards the Liffey boardwalk, hugging the bank there. They're going to try get as much as they can out of that initial corner, bringing up to the first bridge, the Halfpenny Bridge, and into the Millennium. So we just have our spotter now up on the first bridge, and very little between the two crews. Niamh, just how close that Trinity crew are to the North Station.
Yeah, really hugging the bank here now. Maybe slight advantage to UCD ever so slightly, but things will change no doubt as they head up towards that first bridge. They're off to, both of them off to a blistering start here, and as they come to under that Halfpenny Bridge here now, possibly Trinity just edging out now ahead of UCD. We'll get the shots of them now. Oh, so close at this stage of the race. Closest one so far.
Absolutely great to see that the crews hopefully will have this ding-dong battle the whole way up going under the course. So they've gone through two of the bridges now and coming up to the first arch bridge, Grattan Bridge, and they have to go through the stations that are here. We're just seeing them come up to the Millennium Bridge, and it does look like UCD just about over a canvas ahead of the crew then from Trinity. You can see they have to make the mark for the archways there, so the crew from Trinity are going to have to adjust here to make sure that they hit it and then get back onto their station. But it looks like a really good start here from UCD. Off of the corner that normally gives the Trinity, the North Station, the advantage, they've managed to open up a bit of a lead, but all can change as we come down to the centre of the course here, and it's still the UCD crew rowing very nicely. Here you can see the difference between the blade work between novices and the senior crews. Beautiful rowing from UCD, and it looks like they've opened up just about a half a length lead over the crew from Trinity and UCD.
Yes, and the Swans are a bit smarter this time, staying out of the way, themselves hugging themselves to the bank there that time. But yes, as they went through the Millennium Bridge there now, and we're just getting, our shots are a little bit stuck here, but it is UCD still in that lead as they come down now towards the fourth bridge, which is O'Donovan Rossa. Again, they'll have arches to go through, so they had to come to the left hand side of the arches in the last bridge. They're now having to go over towards the right hand side now, with Trinity having to go through the very right hand side arch, and UCD will be coming into the middle one. So there's a bit of manoeuvring around. We were mentioning that they're kind of swapping each time they have to go through an arch, whether they're moving to the right or the left. So yeah, it looks like because Trinity had hugged so much at the start that they added a little bit to themselves when they had to move into the middle to go through that first arch. But I'm sure we'll catch up with them now shortly as they head down through O'Donovan Rossa Bridge. Already halfway through the course.
Halfway through the course, and we're just waiting for the footage to catch up with us here to get back in to see who the leaders are. Just in the distance, we should be able to see the UCD crew coming through ahead of Trinity, and we'll catch up with that shortly. I think maybe some of the camera operators there studying architecture, they seem to be enjoying the bridge so much that they took us off the course, but we'll shortly be back on. But we did see the tactics were the same from the Coxes there. We mentioned Niamh, Trinity hugging that North Station but not getting the advantage that the novice crews seem to get. We just see in the distance now the crews coming through, and I'm sure it'll be no surprise coming up that we'll see it is the UCD crew. They'll be looking to extend the lead that they've opened up, and the Trinity crew, we can see them in the background there. So they're coming up on the archways, and it is still the crew from UCD, centre of the course, just coming through now. Really nice rowing from the UCD crew. They are able to open up that lead once they've extended clear water. You can take the rate down slightly, but they're in full control here. You can see the Trinity crew, clear water back to them now, but just coming in towards the bridge. UCD looking in full control, Niamh.
Absolutely, yeah, they really opened up, and we can see the forecourts there now in the distance. So it will be O'Donovan Rossa Bridge now going through the arches of that, followed in by Father Matthew. Again, some more arches to navigate. We're seeing the Trinity crew here now having to move back into the middle of the course to go through the next arch. But like UCD have done so well in this over the years, 25 wins over Trinity's 17, easily winning it last year. Looks like it may be the same again this year, Richie.
Yeah, in clear water lead between the two crews here for UCD, looking for that 26th win and going for 3 in a row. And I'm sure if we hadn't had the pandemic, it might be a few more that were in there. The race is not taking place, of course, in 2020 and 2021. But UCD going for 3 in a row here, 4 lengths 2 years ago easily, which is more than 4 lengths last year. And now coming up towards the run-in towards the finish. Last few races, or last few bridges, we're going to have the James Joyce Bridge you can see on screen there. And then the Rory O'Moore Bridge, just about 100 metres for the 2 bridges. And the run-in towards the finish then down here opposite Croppy's Acre Memorial Park and in towards the run-in towards the finish. I will just add as well a huge thank you to Kieran Kerr in Irish Rowing Archives. Makes us sound reasonably intelligent that we have all the stats to hand, and it's thanks to Irish Rowing Archives that has all the information on the history of the events, the wins, and also the times and any additional information, the overall winners. So huge thank you to Irish Rowing Archives.
So we can see here UCD now just having gone through James Joyce bridge, followed in by Trinity just coming in, and we have the final bridge now, which is Rory O'Moore, another span bridge. So it's a straight run now into the finish line. They'll be looking out for the red and white flags and bunting across the river here now. They're just passing us here now. Richie, if we had a window, we'd look out.
We have the best view with the screens here, showing us all the footage throughout the course. St James's Gate, live and rising from Guinness there on the left hand side. That's exactly what the crew from UCD have done off at the start here. They've put it up to the Trinity crew, who had maybe the advantage on the first corner, but the UCD crew powering here. That's really nice rowing from UCD. Rock solid in the water, beautiful blade work as well, and really powering home here to the last few strokes. Cox by Libby Ryan, she'll be calling out all of the instructions, knowing that they're in control here, being backed up by Tara Phelan. Then it's Sarah and Alison Daly, Nell Allison, Lauren Roach, Dervla O'Brien, Jessica Farrell and Niamh Campbell coming in towards to take the finish here, looking really, really impressive.
Yes, indeed, and lots of support we can see on the banks of the river here. It's great to see nice support at the finish line as they shout them over that line. It is UCD coming in to take the win in the Corcoran Cup. Well done, ladies.
So it looks like another clear win here. It'll be 4 more lengths, I'd say, to the Trinity crew just coming up. Well done to Trinity there. Tough racing. Maeve Hannon in the Cox's seat, Jennifer Ford in the bows, or in the stroke seat, just coming in. They close out the Corcoran Cup, the women's senior eights. It's a win for UCD, 3 in a row, taking their overall win to 26 wins to Trinity's 17. So really great racing there. Very exciting off of the start to see just how close it was. Trinity following the same course as we saw in the previous races, where they hugged the bank, adjusted the course, but UCD looked like they were on a direct line towards the finish, very little adjusting between them, and they looked in full control. Once we got into the first 200 metres, it looked like theirs for the taking, and really nice rowing from the crew. I'm sure they'll be delighted there for our experienced Sarah Daly and Alison Daly, their 3rd race in the senior race, so that'll be hopefully three in a row for Sarah and for Alison. So really great row there from the UCD crew to take the win ahead of Trinity.
That is 2 wins for UCD Ladies Boat Club now, winning the novice and the senior. Trinity, of course, winning the novice men. So let's see if they can make it 2-all, or will it be 3-1 after the next race. So that's 3 races done, 1 to go. We have the Gannon Cup, the senior men, coming up in the next while, within the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. We'll start to see the crews in the senior men's race heading upriver towards the start line now shortly on their warm-up. But I think the ladies' crews there now, they're soaking in the atmosphere before they head down.
And it'll be great for the crews that are launching. They'll know who has won the previous races, so a nice boost for the UCD men's race competitors to know that the women's crew have taken the win, and for a little bit of motivation for the Trinity men's crew. They'll want to get revenge on the women's race to try take the win in the last race of the day. The Gannon Cup, we mentioned, has been in running since 1947, so it's one of the longest running races between the two crews, the two clubs. Trinity, of course, founded in 1898. UCD have been founded since 1917, so a lot of history going with it. And similar to the other races, raced a number of different places before settling into the current course. Some interesting races over the years. In 1950, it was a dead heat. So I'm sure Kieran Kerr was probably umpiring that. We'll check in with Kieran. He's going to kill me. Dead heat, I don't know. They didn't go back up and re-row, so they were probably quite happy to skip off to the award-winning banquet and not race it over. So 1950, a dead heat. In 1981, the official verdict convincingly, which I think is someone's very polite way of saying it was a great win for Trinity there in 1981. Very close racing then back in 1991, UCD winning it, and it was a canvas. So imagine getting all the way down the course there and just winning by a canvas in 1991. And then more closely in the last couple of years, 2005, half a length, and in 2019, just before the pandemic, 2/3 of a length, UCD taking the win. And last year, I was here for the race as well, and UCD just won it by a third of a length, and it was a really interesting race because UCD got off to a stormer of a start. Trinity left behind off the start, but put in a really, really huge push coming in towards the finish, and I'd say if there was another 200 metres, they were within striking distance of taking the win, but the UCD crew just held on to the lead as they came up. Trinity ran out of water, and it was UCD who took the win last year. So UCD going for 4 in a row. They won in 2019 and 2022 as well as in 2023.
Yes, so it is a course called the Gannon Cup. It is sponsored by Old Collegians Boat Club JHS Crew. So it is in memory of UCD captain Kieran Gannon, who was killed in Burma in 1944. So he passed through Clongowes Wood College, entered University College Dublin in October 1933 and joined the College Boat Club. And in 1934 he was a member of the Maiden 8, which that year was unbeaten. He was an enthusiastic oarsman and loved the sport for its own sake, very loyal to the club, and he showed it by the manner in which he consistently gave his best as a maiden, then as a junior, and finally as a senior oarsman. In 1937 he was elected club captain, and in that capacity he showed his fitness in the field of rowing as a coach as well as an oarsman, but also as an administrator, so an all-rounder in the sport, throwing all his energy into the work. And during his captaincy, to which he was re-elected in 1938, the club, University College Dublin Boat Club, achieved very high levels of success under his captaincy. The club won the Wiley Cup and the Leander and Metropolitan Cups. So he graduated in medicine and surgery in 1939, and shortly afterwards went to England, where he joined the Royal Army Medical Corps with the rank of captain, and served for a time in Egypt and then in India, subsequently going to Burma, where he was killed in 1944. So this cup, the Gannon Cup, which started this whole colour series in 1947, is in memory of former UCD captain Kieran Gannon.
And last year, members of Kieran Gannon's family were here. They travelled from abroad to come for the trophy presentation. So even though it's many, many decades ago, it's fantastic to see that his memory is kept alive. And he had a huge impact in both in rowing and personally with how he dedicated his life. And here we are coming up to decades later, and we're still talking about him. He's still part of rowing folklore, so it's fantastic to see. And it was brilliant that his family were on hand last year to help with the medal and award ceremonies as well.
Yeah, so just as we're waiting for the start, we might run through the crews. So representing Trinity in the Gannon Cup, in the bow seat we have Cormac Feely studying computer science. In the 2 seat we have Ross Macaulay, civil, structural and environmental engineering. Alfie Halesden in the 3 seat, mechanical engineering. Benjamin Reid, business, economics and social studies. Morgan Brennan studying engineering. We have Samuel Walker, mechanical engineering. Anne-Reese Lawrence, general nursing. Ethan Copland in the stroke seat, engineering. And then James O'Brien, coxing, and he is studying business, economics and social studies.
And for the UCD crew, a number of them returning. We'll go through that shortly. But in the bow seat, the man with the biggest legs in Irish rowing, it is David Crooks, who is studying chemical engineering with a biochemical engineering minor. In the 2 seat, Sam Daly, studying computer science. In the 3 seat, Andrew Carroll, studying structural engineering with architecture. I'm sure some of his friends were on the bridge there. And Kieran Conway, electronic engineering. In the 4 seat, Paul Flood. In the 5 seat, materials and mechanical engineering. In the 6 seat, Ross Mason, also studying mechanical engineering. In the 7th seat, Owen McGrath, mechanical engineering. And in the stroke seat, Dak Murphys, who is a graduate entry student for radio radiography, and Cox then by Rian Nelson, who's studying general nursing. We saw the crews head up towards the start, the Trinity crew already on the way up, and just you can see the UCD crew now heading up towards Rory O'More Bridge, the blue bridge there, the ornate blue bridge, which is the last bridge they go through on the course down. They're heading up towards the start there.
Now, Richie, you mentioned something there, and I have to ask, is this from your own reference, or is this something he submitted himself? You mentioned that in the bow seat for UCD, David Crooks has the biggest legs in Irish rowing.
This my dedication to rowing knows no ends, and I have done research. I have met David. He does self-profess to have the biggest legs. When I first met him, I thought he was wearing jodhpurs, and then I realised no, they're his actual thighs. And I was a little bit worried because he is in the bow seat. Do they somehow have to grease him up to get him into the bow seat? But he is coming back for his second row here. Winner of he was the first person across the line last year in the bow seat as well for UCD. And I'm not being disrespectful. He's got a good sense of humour, but he does in the bio that they gave us, where we're looking for information about them and their history, and they tell us what crews they have rowed in before and what clubs they've come from. David does say he has the biggest legs in Irish rowing.
So self-contest.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's okay.
And Niamh, a lot of the rowers coming back for their second attempt, or their second race here in the men's senior 8, both for both clubs.
Yes, absolutely. For Trinity there, we have Cormac Feely in the bow seat, back for his second year. Alfie Hales as well, his second time, and Benjamin Reid. But then a lot of first-timers as well in that Trinity crew. And shout out to James O'Brien, who's coxing. He has been trying to get his hands on the Gannon Cup since 2005, when he was just 2 years old. I wonder what he'd coxing after his dad coached the winning UCD Gannon crew that year. That's pretty cool.
Very
That's
cool.
pretty special if he wins that this year.
Absolutely, no pressure from his father. So, and then for the UCD crew, similar, we've a couple of people coming back to compete for their second and third time. The most experienced person in the 2 seat, Sam Daly, who is competing in his third race here in the Gannon Cup, so 3 in a row going for Sam Daly. And also David Crooks, who we mentioned, all the way from Buffalo in New York. He's in the bow seat for UCD, coming back to race for the second time, along with Andrew Carroll in the 3 seat and also Paul Flood in the 5 seat. The other competitors then, the first time racing here for the Gannon Cup.
You mentioned New York there. We also have Ethan Coplin in the Trinity boat coming from Montclair High School in the USA. So we've seen a few rowers from the USA coming over, studying here in Dublin and taking up rowing.
So an international event here, a lot of homegrown rowers as well as those that are coming from the international side. And Niamh, tell us about the 5 seat, Morgan Brennan.
Now, you mentioned about the biggest legs. How about this for a stat? 6'10" wingspan out of Morgan Brennan for Trinity. He must be one tall guy.
An albatross in rowing. So we'll try spot him when we get in there. I'm sure the other rowers in his boat have told him shorten up his stroke. He probably has one of the biggest arcs that we will see. So
we
really
might see
interesting.
A cowboy hat on him as well.
Coming from Belvedere College. So coming through the novice program as well, a lot of the rowers there from Trinity Niamh coming through the novice program, with just 2 of them coming from the junior setup.
Yes, indeed. And another mention there too, we spoke about Ethan Coplin there coming from USA. He held the team million meter erg world record for 2 years.
Okay, ergometers.
That's all the stats we have on everyone.
Yeah, that's all. So we'll be underway shortly between these 2 crews. A lot of experience we mentioned from the returning crews. The more experienced side maybe on UCD, having had those wins going now for the 4th in a row. To try give them 36 wins over Trinity's 37, so really close. Similar to the boat race over in the UK, where Oxford and Cambridge, was very little between them in the overall standings. And just for the excitement of watching the race, would we look for a dead heat like we had in 1950? I'm not sure the crews would like it, but it'd be great for us here.
It would be good.
It would be good, and I can think if they do have a dead heat, they can either decide to take the shared win or go back and race again. And given the blustery and rainy conditions and the fact that there's a dinner dance on later on, I'm feeling that they might share the win like they did in 1950.
So we can see the first of the crews now coming up towards the start line.
So the Trinity crew there just coming up, and again, Niamh had said they have the North Station over on that kind of Smithfield side where the forecourts are as well. Gets the early break in the course where it veers off, so they get the first corner, but it's not a huge advantage for them. And then in the South Station, it's the Houston side station, and St James's Gate and Guinness, the UCD crew are going to be there. So I think we're seeing a pattern from the coxing from Trinity where they're hugging that bank on the North Station, trying to get the early advantage and hold on to it. But it was the UCD crew in the women's race. They just picked their point and rode through the crew from Trinity. So tactics, it'll be interesting to see how this is going to go in the men's senior race.
Yes, and a shout out to the coaches here of, we'll speak about the Trinity crew first. So we have William Doyle, one of the senior coaches with Dublin University Boat Club, or Trinity as we are calling them today. So he joined the boat club in 2015 following a career as a junior rower in Neptune Rowing Club, finding success as boat captain in 2019 and senior oarsman in Trinity, winning himself 2 Gannon Cups. He also won the University Championship Senior 8 and setting the Earn Head of River course record, which remains unbroken. So he is coaching this crew that we're seeing on our screen backing up towards the stake boat. Also coached there by Paul Laird, the newest addition to the senior coaching panel, and Michael Doyle as well. Apparently he's arguably the tallest man Island Bridge has ever seen, maybe?
We could get to see how his wingspan is compared to Morgan Brennan.
And then we'll run through the coaches of UCD senior crew.
Yeah, so we met him outside here just before the races start off with his little baby girl who is just a couple of weeks old and already here in her UCD colours. Niall Farrell, who everyone knows as Bish, the lead coach for UCD, being backed up by Andrew Goff, who has, of course, a lot of experience as a rower, helping out with the coaching structure there, along with Brendan Lynch, Tom Bedford and Will Yeomans for the senior crews for UCD. So they'll be all excited, both sets of coaches, just as we watch the 2 crews coming up. Trinity already on the stake boats passing up their wet gear and getting ready, and the UCD crew just coming up towards the start now as well. So it's just 4 races in the programme today, between the novices, novice men, novice women, and then the senior women and senior men. And we mentioned previously, next up for these will be the regattas that are coming up for start off the regatta season, Neptune and Commercial, on their home grounds on Island Bridge. And then the crews will be heading to Lochrin in Leitrim for the 8-lane course that is their really impressive setup in Lochrin, where the University Championships are taking place on the 20th of April. So we mentioned earlier on as well, they were unfortunately hit with bad weather, and the regatta last year had to be abandoned after a number of races. So we're hoping that the weather gods will play ball for the University Championships coming up. And thankfully, other than the few showers that we've had today, Niamh, the conditions have held up pretty well.
It has indeed. I'm not sure, has it changed slightly? Maybe a little bit more movement in the footage that we're seeing here now. And we're seeing the umpire there in the middle of the course. You know, the boat is bouncing a little bit more than it was earlier on. But we're also seeing shots on other cameras down the river. And it looks to be a little bit flatter down towards the end of the course. So maybe it's just up here at O'Connell Bridge that it's just a little bit more blustery. Not sure if the direction has changed. It was due to be kind of southeast for most of the afternoon, but I would say as soon as they are lined up and everyone is happy, we'll be getting going very soon.
Yeah, so we might be ahead of schedule here from the official programme, but everyone will be looking forward to getting off the water as quickly as possible. So if both crews are ready, the umpire will be starting them. So you can see Trinity already in the start positions. Blades are ready to go as soon as they get under starting orders. And you can see the bow pointing in towards the right hand side of our screen. So they are picking it and they're away already. So really quick start here. From the 2 crews, and it does look like the Trinity crew, very high rating coming off the start. The UCD crew just matching them now on the rates as well coming up, and I'd say a slight advantage here to the crew from UCD as they come up towards the Liffey boardwalk. Temple Bar over on the left hand side where some of them might end up later on, but it's all eyes on the river at the moment here. Niamh coming up to the first bridge, the Halfpenny Bridge. It does look like a very slight advantage to the crew from UCD.
Ever so slightly, yes. Again, we're seeing Trinity maybe not hug so much as what we've been seeing the last few races, but certainly staying tight. All the birds flying out of their way, but definitely just a slight edge to UCD potentially as they go through the first bridge here. I was trying to look out for the 610 wingspan, and I think they may have miscalculated ever so slightly, but we'll see.
He's in there, should be in the middle of the boat of the Trinity crew, centre in the 5 seat. UCD now, we're seeing them coming up to the second bridge, just about a canvas lead over Trinity, so very little between the two crews coming in off of the first few hundred metres. They will have gone off at a very high rate, and now they're trying to settle into their race pace, but great to see both crews side by side here coming up towards Grattan Bridge. You can see the archways that they're aiming for, the South Station, North Station. You can see the rain falling as well here. It'll flattle down the water a little bit. Swans well out of the way. They have learnt their lesson after the last 3 races. But Niamh, coming up to the bridge now, it does look like UCD are opening up their lead, going from a canvas, opening up just about a third or a half a length here over Trinity.
Absolutely, yeah. The settling part of this race, they've definitely worked well here now after the bit of a sprint start. They've settled in well and seem to be moving away. We'll get shots of them now coming in or coming from under the bridge ever so slightly. Again, Trinity having hugged the right hand side of the bank on the first corner and then having to move over to get through that middle arch. So again, they are adding a little bit of distance onto themselves ever so slightly, whereas UCD over on the left hand side were able to take a bit of a straighter line. So just waiting for the shots to see who is out ahead. The rain is falling, but as they headed up towards that bridge, it was UCD ever so slightly ahead of Trinity.
And we mentioned UCD looking to go for 4 in a row, so they took the win in 2019 right before we had the break of 2 years for no racing, then again winning in 2022, an easy win for them back then. And last year we mentioned the really exciting finish that we had where Trinity came back at them coming in towards the finish to try get back on terms where ran out of water. So it has been 3 for 3 in the last 3 years for UCD, and they're looking to boost up their total number of wins to 36 to try come a level with Trinity as they come up now towards the forecourts and O'Donovan Rossa Bridge. They're coming up, and now Niamh, that last 200 metres, it looks like UCD have powered on yet again and opened up clear water.
They have indeed, yeah. Going through the bridge there, it didn't look like Trinity were too far behind, but as we can see now as they come up towards us, and Father Matthew Bridge, another arch bridge coming up, definitely powering it on here now as they move towards the centre of the course, trying to make the most of that straight line that they've been kind of holding on to. Trinity now again back over, hugging that right hand side of the bank as they head down. We can see them now coming through, so that was Father Matthew, and they're heading towards the next arch bridge now shortly.
Yes, so still clear water here for UCD, opening up that lead ahead of the crew from Trinity. So I'm sure the coaches from UCD should be quite happy with the performance here. Beautiful blade work from the UCD crew, rowing very nicely and well ahead coming in towards the finish. So Trinity, if they're going to get back on any sort of terms, they're going to have to react now and get back within striking distance, because they're going to run out of water. We're down into the last few 100 metres. It looks a little bit laboured from the crew from Trinity compared to the smoothness of the UCD crew, and just coming up towards the last arched bridge, Mellows Bridge now, before that run in towards the finish, and it looks like UCD in full control.
Yeah, they did look a little tired, or a bit, they weren't so sharp in their catches as were UCD when we saw shots of them up close there a second ago. So UCD just looking a little bit fresher as they come down now towards, we're looking at the James Joyce Bridge here now. They'll be coming down towards this, which is the second last bridge before they head for that finish line.
So really exciting here to close out the men's senior race. The Gannon Cup 4 for 4 is what UCD are going for, and we should see them coming through the archway shortly down to the run in towards the finish. They'll know that it's just down to the last few hundred metres, and there we can just see the crew coming through the Jane Joyce Bridge well ahead now of the crew from Trinity. So not like last year's race, it was around about here that Trinity got back with an overlap of the crew from UCD and began to wind up and push them for the line. But UCD looking really strong here, coming up to the last bridge, just crossing over there, and we'll see them come through the archway in full control. There's David Crooks in the bow seat, leading it out. He's going to be similar to last year, first man across the line here for UCD, barring a disaster in the run in towards the finish, passing St James's Gate, and they've opened up even more of a lead here. So a little bit tough for the Trinity crew to try wind it up for the line here, with UCD really in full control and powering towards the finish.
Yeah, they're looking out for that red and white bunting across the river now for that finish line. Lovely shot here, and we can hear the shouts outside our broadcasting truck here. Little bit of
we can see the thighs there of David Crooks in the bow seat. Sorry to labour on about them, but I know he'd want us to mention them. Really nice rowing from the UCD crew coming in towards the finish here. Beautiful rowing from them, Niamh, winding right up for the line here in the rain. They're going to take the win ahead of Trinity.
Yeah, beautiful rowing here. Solid finish here out of the crew from UCD. Coming in to take the third win of the day. 3 to UCD, 1 to Trinity. Final shots there of them. Very happy, I'm sure, to see that finish line. And just coming up to take their final few strokes, it is the crew from Trinity.
So tough racing there for Trinity, but it was the UCD crew getting the better of them there, and overall now bringing the number of wins to 36 for UCD and Trinity to 37. So hopefully next year we can see them come in level and continue on the rivalry that they have there. White flag from the umpire, so cleanly home for everyone there. Really well done to the crew from UCD. David Crooks in the bow seat, Sam Daly in 2, Andrew Carroll in 3, Kieran Conway in 4, Paul Flood in the 5 seat, Ross Mason in the 6 seat, Owen McGrath in 7, Dak Murphy in the stroke seat, and Rian Nelson doing a great job in the coxing there for UCD, taking the win in the Gannon Cup and making it 4 for 4.
So great day of racing. 4 races done, and it's very important that we mention all the sponsors who, without their support, this event would not have taken place. So we of course have the Dublin University Boat Club, we have Dublin University Ladies Boat Club, UCD Ladies Boat Club and UCD Boat Club, and then main sponsors we have Dublin City Council, we have Bearing Point, we have AIG Daily Productions, John Maguire and Co, Vacuum and Pressure Services, Jojo's D20, Ryan Solicitors, Palmerstown Credit Union.
So a huge thank you to all of the volunteers and everyone who made this event possible, along with the sponsors. Congratulations to the winners and to the losers. We'll see you back next year for hopefully some revenge on the results that day. So well done to everyone, well rowed, and enjoy the festivities tonight. Niamh, best luck in Italy, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you, Richie. Well done.